How to Avoid Foolish Opinions is an essay written by Bertrand author William Russell. The essay deals with a very important problem in human life. How do we know whether our opinions are right or wrong? Every person has opinions about people, society, religion, politics, culture, education, and many other things. Sometimes we strongly believe that our opinion is correct, and everyone who disagrees with us is wrong. Russell says this attitude can lead to foolish opinions. He does not say that we should have no opinions. Instead, he teaches us how to form opinions carefully and how to change them when evidence shows that we are wrong. The total message is: think carefully, check the facts, listen to others, and do not be too confident that you are always right. Now we will discuss about the Bertrand Russell. His full name is Bertrand Arthur William Russell. He was born in the year 1872 and passed away in the year 1970. He was a famous British philosopher, logician, mathematician, historian, writer, and social critic. He was also a political activist and a Nobel laureate. The meaning of Nobel laureate is a person who received Nobel Prize is called as Nobel laureate. He had a deep interest in science, mathematics, philosophy, and human society. His important works are Principia Mathematica and the Problems of Philosophy. Russell believed strongly in reason, evidence, and freedom of thought. He wanted people to question their beliefs instead of accepting everything blindly. This attitude can be clearly seen in How to Avoid Foolish Opinions. What does Russell mean by foolish opinions? Before going into the essay, we should understand the word opinion. An opinion is what we think or believe about something. For example, English is the most beautiful language. One more example: my culture is better than another culture. These are opinions because different people may think differently. The problem comes when we say, my opinion is absolutely correct and anybody who disagrees with me is foolish. Russell wants us to avoid this kind of thinking. He says that we should ask, what is the evidence? Is my opinion based on fact? Could I be wrong? What do other people think? Why do they think differently? Am I being influenced by my personal feelings or prejudice? It means an unfair judgment or opinion about a person or group before knowing the facts. There are different principles used by Russell. Let's see one by one. First one is careful observation. Russell's first important lesson is that we should observe things carefully and check the facts. He gives the example of Aristotle. Aristotle was one of the greatest thinkers of the ancient world, but he made some mistakes because he sometimes accepted ideas without checking them properly. Russell gives an example connected with teeth. Aristotle believed that women had fewer teeth than men, but he could simply ask someone to count the teeth of men and women. The important lesson is not really about teeth. The important lesson is even intelligent and famous people can make mistakes if they do not check facts. So, Russell tells us don't believe something simply because an important person said it. Instead, observe it, check it, think it, then form an opinion. Let's see an easy example. Suppose someone says this plant grows only in winter. Do not immediately believe it. Observe the plant in different seasons and check the facts. That is careful observation. Let's see the second principle of Russell. Recognize your bias. What is the meaning of bias? It means judging something unfairly because of your personal preference, taking one side without being fair. Example: imagine a teacher has two students. One student is the teacher's favorite. Whenever both students give answers, the teacher always supports the favorite student. That is bias. Russell says that we should recognize our own biases because they can affect our opinions. Sometimes we do not realize that our opinion is influenced by our family, culture, religion, education, personal experiences, our likes and dislikes. We may think I am completely objective, but actually, our thinking may be influenced by our background. Therefore, we must ask ourselves, am I thinking objectively or am I simply supporting my own side? Next one is, why do we become angry when someone disagrees? This is one of Russell's important observation. Suppose someone says 2 plus 2 equal 5. we do not necessarily become extremely angry. Why? Because mathematics can prove that the statement is wrong. There is knowledge and evidence. But imagine someone disagrees with us about something where there is no definite evidence, we may become very angry. Russell says that this angry itself should make us suspicious. Why? Because sometimes our anger shows that our opinion is based more on emotion than evidence. For example, person A think that I think this is the best political system. Person B, I disagree. Again, person A immediately becomes angry. Russell says, why become angry? If you have strong evidence, calmly explain it. If there is no clear evidence, you should be willing to consider the other person's opinion. The important idea on this is when disagreement makes us extremely angry, you should examine our own opinion. The last one is the most dangerous argument. Russell says that some of the strongest and most violent arguments happen over subjects where there is not enough evidence to prove either side completely right. This is very interesting. When facts are clear, there is less need for emotional argument. But when evidence is uncertain, people often become more emotional. For example, two people may argue, my opinion is absolutely right. One more person, no, my opinion is absolutely right. Neither person may have sufficient evidence. Russell tells us to be carefully in such situations. His advice is when you find yourself becoming extremely angry about an opinion, stop and ask yourself whether you actually have enough evidence or not. Another important word in this essay is dogmatic. What is the meaning of this? You are not accepting to change your opinion even when others give different views. We can understand it clearly. Believing that your own idea are absolutely correct and refusing to accept other people's opinion. That is the meaning of dogmatic. A dogmatic person thinks, I am right. There is no need to listen to anyone else. Russell says we should not be dogmatic. We should be willing to say, I may be wrong. This does not mean that we should accept every opinion. It means we should listen and examine before rejecting another person's view. Example, a student says, my answer is definitely correct. The teacher gives evidence showing that the answer is wrong. If the student still says, no, I am right, I do not care about the evidence. This is a dogmatic attitude. Next one, respect other people's standards and ideals. Russell also tells us that different people and societies have different customs, values, traditions, beliefs, standards, ideals. We should not immediately conclude their way is foolish because it is different from ours. Our own way may seem natural to us because we have grown up with it, but another person has grown up differently. Therefore, we should try to understand before judging. Next one, travel is an excellent educator. This is one of the most memorable ideas in that essay. Russell says travel is an excellent educator. Why? Because when we travel, we see different cultures, different customs, languages, climates, food, lifestyles, traditions, and different ways of thinking. When we remain in one place, we may think our way is the normal way. But when we travel, we discover there are many different ways of living. This makes our thinking broader. Example, imagine a person has living in one village all their life. They may think everyone in the world lives like us. When they travel to another country, they discover completely different customs. They begin to understand my way is only one way, it is not necessarily the only correct way. This makes a person more open minded. What will happen if we cannot travel? Russell understands that everyone cannot travel. So he gives another solution. He says we can meet people with disagree with us. Suppose you believe strongly in one idea. Instead of only talking to people who agree with you, talk to someone who has a different opinion. Listen carefully. Ask, why do you think this way? This helps us understand another point of view. We can also read books, newspapers, or other materials that express opinions different from our own. Another important point about other cultures. Russell makes an interesting observation. When people meet another culture, they sometimes simply copy its foolish customs. That is not the purpose of learning about other cultures. We should not think their culture is different, so everything they do must be better. Instead, we should think Let me understand their way of life and then decide what is reasonable. So the goal is understanding, not blind imitation. Next one is psychological imagination. This is another important idea of Russell. Psychological imagination means trying to imagine how another person thinks and why they hold a different opinion. Suppose you strongly disagree with someone, instead of saying that person is stupid. Try to imagine, if I had that person's background and experiences, why might I think like them? This helps us understand the other person. Russell suggests that we can even create an imaginary argument with someone who has a different opinion. We can imagine, what would this person say? Then how would I answer? Then what is the strongest argument on their side? This exercise makes us less stubborn. Dogmatic and cocksure. What is the meaning of cocksure? You are too confident that you are right, even when you may be wrong. Overconfident that you are always right. This is called as dogsure. So, a dogsure person thinks, I know everything, I cannot be wrong. Russell wants us to avoid both attitudes, means dogmatic attitude and cocksure attitude. Instead of these two attitudes, we should have intellectual humility. That means, I know something, but I may still be wrong. Be aware of opinions that flatter your self esteem. What is the meaning of self esteem? You believe in your own worth or value. Russell warns us about exercise self esteem. Sometimes we believe opinions simply because they make us feel good about ourselves. For example, my group is the best. My country is superior to every other country. People like me are more intelligent. Our culture is better than all other cultures. Such ideas make us feel proud, but they may not be based on evidence. Russell says, be careful of opinions that flatter your ego. If any opinion makes you feel extremely superior, ask, is it true? Or do I simply like believing it? Next one is men and women. Russell gives an example of how people may think their own group is superior. He says that men may point to achievements such as most people, poets, and scientists are men. Women may respond by pointing to another group, such as criminals, who are also mostly men. The suppose of this example is not simply to compare men and women. Russell is showing how people often select evidence that supports their own side. For example, one group says, look at our achievements. The other group finds evidence against them. From this point, what we learn? We should not select only the evidence that supports our pride. We should examine the whole situation fairly. Next one is, everyone has merits and defects. Russell says that everything has its own merits, demerits, strengths, weakness. No individual or group is perfect. Therefore, instead of thinking we are completely superior, we should think we have strengths, but we also have weakness. Similarly, other people may have weakness, but they may also have strengths that we do not have. This attitude helps us become balanced thinkers. Next one is the vast universe and human ego. Russell gives a powerful way of controlling our ego. He asks us to think about the size of the universe. Human beings live on Earth, which is only a small planet. The universe is enormously large. Our individual life is also very short compared with the age of the universe. So, if someone thinks I am extremely important, I am superior to everyone. Russell asks us to remember our small place in the universe. There may even be other forms of intelligent life somewhere in the universe. We do not know everything about the cosmos. Cosmos means universe only. Therefore, we should remain humble. Next one is bursting the bubble of ego. This idea can be explained very simply. Imagine that a person's ego is like a big balloon. They think, I am the greatest. My opinions are always right. My group is superior. Their ego becomes bigger and bigger. Russell's method is to remind them, you are only one human being living for a short time on a small planet in a huge universe. This thought makes the ego smaller. So, we can say, knowledge of our small place in the universe help us control our pride. Next one is the five main lessons of the essay. For students, we can summarize the whole essay into five major points. First one is careful observation. Observe and check facts before forming an opinion. Second one is recognize bias. Understand that your personal background and feelings may influence your opinions. Third one, learn from different opinions. Listen to people who disagree with you and learn about different cultures and ways of thinking. Fourth one, use psychological imagination. Try to understand why another person thinks differently from you. Last one, fifth one, control self esteem. Don't allow pride and ego to make you believe that you and your group is superior to everyone else. What Russell really wants us to learn, Russell is not saying that we should stop having opinions. He wants us to have better opinions. A foolish thinker says, I believe it, so it must be true. A rational thinker says, I believe it, but let me check the evidence. A foolish thinker says, you disagree with me, so you are wrong. A rational thinker says, you disagree with me, let me understand your reason. So a foolish thinker says, my group is the best. A rational thinker says, my group has strength and weakness, just like every other groups. This is the heart of Russell's essay. I hope so you understood the topic clearly. Please like, share, and subscribe.